is a matter of national concern. The migrants who are coming from the less developed states, less developed districts, backward districts are struggling for finding survival in the big cities. These cities have to be a little more hospitable. For that we need some state level initiative, but the central level initiative for that would also an absolute imperative, absolute necessity. Thank you very much.
And the dignitaries on the dais. Considering the probable time constraint, I won't stand on formality. Thank you, Dr. Amitabh Kundu, for your erudite speech. I had earlier also listened to. And it's an important meeting which we assembled. In Odisha, there is something called body language to governance. We have an absolute open mind to have a dialogue with all the stakeholders in whatever we do. I think you must have this. I think I have been attending every conclave connected with this particular thing. I think I was just talking to Jagadanand. Just looking back, I remember normally every state has got a kind of approach to celebrate some round figure. Okay, you reach 50 years of independence, you will celebrate. Then you reach 75, you celebrate. You to find a reason to celebrate all the time. I will also read out some of the good news to talk about it, some of the statistics. So 75 years of Odisha becoming a separate state should have been a great reason to celebrate. That's something around 1936 we became a separate state, and then 2011 could have been. But then in 2016, again 80 years is a round figure. So I had returned from the Election Commission of India as a finance secretary, and then we found that 80 years is a good round figure. We will look back where we started, where we reached. Then we started an exercise called 80 years of Odisha budget. In fact, some of our officers have brought, I think 3-4 copies they brought, and I think I will give it to them. The thing is that where we started in 1936. We started with a budget of 1 crore. Our total budget was about 1 crore rupees in 1936. There was no separate allotment for the development work. Only maximum amount of 6,000 rupees was allotted for a road project near Puri. And there was a department called Department of Retrenchment. Then it was written there, the amount which is saved out of throwing people out of government, that can be used for the development work. That is written in the budget of 1936. We are now dealing with something around 2,45,000 crore budget, and we have grown 2,45,000 in terms of that. I give you certain small thing. Even talk this century, 21st century, in 99-2000, we had a budget size is 11,801, which we are our main budget is 2,30,000 crore from 23-24. Then own revenue 2,421 crore in 99 to 2000 to 1,05,050. I will not read all the statistics. State plan outlay has gone many times up from the 2008-91 crores to the 1,25,000. And then we have not taken a ways and means advance for the last 18 years. That means we have no overdraft, we don't borrow much. And then our capital outlay investment in Odisha is the only state in the country to be FRBM compliant every year since its enactment in 2005. 2005 was the FRBM was enacted. Till date, we have not breached it, not even a single year. Our capital outlay has increased from 799 crore in 2000 to 51,683 into 23-24. Like this, so many parameters. I don't want to load with the statistics because I'm not a statistics man alone. I am basically a non-financial executive who handles finance. There is something called farmer's logic. So that farmer's logic, most of the time, I have found it because I would look at the statistics in a different way. Dr. Kundu mentioned, in fact, I was it was a very good information for also. We are also studying the migration pattern. We are dealing with that. We have a data recently looked at it. That means more people came, less people went back. But in the railway station, we don't even know when they came, when they go.
But we made it a point on seeing that people are walking in the national highway. We put the senior IAS officers to receive them in the railway station. Incidentally, Anu Garg will be coming today evening. We appointed her as an officer to coordinate at the Kurda station, where we received something around 9 lakh people. Each one of them, in whichever way they came, they were received, and particularly we made it a point to put a carpet in the railway station. We made it a point to put a balloon in the railway station. We made it a point to put the doctors in the railway station. We transported them with dignity. They were kept in 14 days. Why I am emphasizing that growth and development is not statistics alone. The demography of the development, demography of growth, I am so happy that this conclave always talks about it. I remember in 2016 when we came and started working on the 80 years of the budget which we released. I happened to be that group, my colleagues worked on it. We released this book. It's one of the well-researched book which deals with the finances of a state in 80 years. Around that time, SDG was announced. SDG goals were announced. That is actually 30 years time, 2030. So then I was at that time development commissioner. My officer said that Niti Aayog, the planning commission went and Niti Aayog came, and then it is being monitored by the Niti Aayog. What do we do that? So I had a feeling that we will call something called SDG plus. That means when you look at the 2030, we will start looking at it 2036, because it makes a great sense for me locally, because I am talking about the history. 1936 to 236, a century of Odisha looks very nice. So our chief minister wanted us at that time to work on the 2036. At that time, I had called for a meeting of all the officers, all the department, NGOs. I had an opportunity to discuss with the people like Jagdanand, and we started taking feedback. How do we plan for our 2036? And then after some time, we felt that we will focus on current. This particular conversation, we will again restart. I think our chief minister has been talking to us, and we will be, basically it's a back end, we are also working on that particular magical number of 2036, 1 century of Odisha. And if you demography and the economy, if you really look at it, is the economy or the finance is the function of the geography, or is it the function of the demography? It is both. It is both. If you look at it, states like Odisha, this is a very classical story of the conversation between what we call as the center and the fringes. In the developmental conversation, is always there is something about the marginality. There is something about the voice of the voiceless. Some people are voiced. There are concealed communities. There are communities whose existence you don't even recognize. So those concealed communities, that fringes, a state is carved out of it. What was my Ganjam and Korapur district? Right now it is 8 districts. It was with the Madras presidency. What was that? It was a fringe of the Madras presidency. I have a district of Balasore this side and Mayurbhanj another thing. That was the fringe of the Calcutta presidency. I have an areas in the Sambalpur, this area is a fringe of the central province and the Patna, Bihar Patna. And 58 Gajat areas ruled by the local rulers. All put together, we created a map, we created language-based, first linguistically organized state in Indian history. Even after independence, the committees formed for the state reorganization, they made an argument, if you put the language as a criteria, India will fall apart. And then there was a resistance. Until there was a agitation in Chennai, Madras and for Andhra Pradesh, in only 1955-56, we went in for the linguistics-based reorganization as a philosophy, but Odisha did it in 1936, simply because the people spoke a language, that language. Can you imagine 62 type of tribes who belong to different linguistic families? Talking different language is something different. We have a Austroasiatic, who are the subgroup of the Australo-Australite, and North Mundarian, South Mundarian. We have a Dravidian population. We have an Indo-Aryan population. Different linguistic family coexisting. So it will have its own impact. If you really look at it, the dichotomy of the growth is that the most underdeveloped, most poverty-stricken, the names, some of the names mentioned by Dr. Kundu is an area which is endowed with a great amount of natural resources.